All right. Welcome back to another recording of Pencil Leadership. I'm Chris Anderson, the host, for those who don't know me. I'm going to be diving into how we can cut through the busy work if you're an overloaded solopreneur tonight with Vanessa Zamy. Did I say that last name right?
Zamy.
Zamy.
Yes.
Ah, doggone it. Always forget to ask the last names first. But Vanessa's on. Yeah, she's going to share about her journey and how we can become less overworked and cut through that busy work. So I'm super excited to dive into that topic. But first, Vanessa, welcome to Pencil Leadership tonight.
Thank you for having me, Chris. I'm excited to be here. Yes.
Absolutely. No problem. Thank you for being here. So would love for you to share a little bit about your journey. What's brought you to doing what you do today, if you would?
Yeah. So essentially, I founded Your Vision's Catalyst, my consulting company for ambitious purposes, solopreneurs, and helping them to grow their business, even with a demanding day job. So my story is I actually grew my business while having my own day job, essentially while working a day job, and is a six-figure salary at a multi-billion-dollar company. And so built my business while doing that work. Awesome. Strategy for them. And essentially, my whole thing is what I do is I focus on helping busy corporate women in implementing efficient and effective strategies in their marketing, their sales, and their time so that they can make this business happen. Because a lot of the reason why entrepreneurs fail, and part of it is essentially they get to that point where they're just overloaded and they're burnt out, right? And unfortunately, it's for a lot of people because they're still stuck in that security of the day job. It's like, well, I guess the business wasn't meant to be. I guess entrepreneurship wasn't meant to be, right? Their friends and family are telling them, well, not everyone makes it. You tried your best, right? And so that for them, they say, well, let me not do the business instead, right? So they keep their day job. They continue hating their Mondays. They continue being miserable. Maybe 20 years from now, another pandemic happens and they decide to do a business, right? But essentially, It's like this whole cycle. Unfortunately. And what I do, my focus with Your Vision's Catalyst is catalyze people's vision and to equip them and empower them, ambitious solopreneurs, to keep moving forward in their vision so that when that fateful day comes, because we're all going to die one day, when that fateful day comes, they can say that they lived their life without any shoulda, coulda, woulda, and they lived their life without regret. And I'm all about essentially making the business happen while sleeping. So,
that's awesome.
And while ensuring that you are not burnt out. So we can go into more detail probably.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And so you built your business while you were in your corporate position, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm guessing that kind of almost this topic kind of was probably birthed during that journey. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was that? And kind of, I guess I was a little along the same line. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with mine. And I got to the point where I guess you could say unconventionally, I quit my day job before my business was going and went full-time into it, which I don't recommend people doing. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot of,
and that's the thing. The thing is that like, it's not unconventional. It's actually the norm that people do.
Yeah.
And it's people fantasize it, right? Like there are a lot of people who like you're probably the first person who probably said, I don't recommend that. Don't do that. Right. And, or like you did it and you say, don't do it versus people are like, oh yes, I did it and I made it. And it's just like glamorous and
right.
Yeah.
It's something. It's doing that is there's a lot. So, but I understand though, when I was trying to figure it out, when I was trying to start the process of like, what's my business going to be, look like, be structured during when I was doing my 9 to 5, like it's a lot. And so what did you find was like the most cause of being overworked during that? I mean, you're wearing a lot of hats, obviously, but was there something that kind of stuck out most to you that you looking back on now, or like, wow, that was a big piece of the busyness?
So you see, Chris, here's the thing. My zone of genius is in productivity. And so I actually never felt myself overworked. And so my business essentially came from, well, actually my corporate career, essentially my first full-time corporate job. 3 months into it, I had a panic attack. And essentially I was in that moment where I was in bed and I just didn't want to wake up. I was just like, I don't know what this reality is, but it's not my reality. I don't know what this is, but no. And so essentially that was but I still stayed in corporate America for a couple of years because I was like, oh, well, maybe it's the team. I'll switch teams. Maybe it's Let me go to another company. Let me all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it just wasn't because of that. So when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, I read that book, and it just opened my eyes to entrepreneurship, opened my eyes to there's this other way of living life that other people are doing that's actually leading them to the life that I'm looking to live for myself. One, but two, this life is also accessible. OMG. So then, then it wasn't until a couple months later where it was a Sunday morning, and I woke up on a Sunday morning, and I just woke up in a trance, and literally the trance was me typing Your Vision's Catalyst. It was just like, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to help people with their vision, their dream, da, da, da. And because in that moment, I realized what everyone had been asking me since I was 13 years old. I remember this moment. I was 13 years old. I was in the train station. I took public transit all my life. I was in Boston, Massachusetts. And I was in the train station. I remember a friend came up to me and she said, Vanessa, how do you do it? And I did not understand what she was asking. I was like, I know she's asking me for some sort of secret to something, but I don't know what the something is. And I don't know. And but then essentially she would be the first person to ask me that question, but she wouldn't be the last. And every year after that, there was always someone in some different space. When I went to California, when I went to literally someone every single year, ever since that age 13, when I was on that train station, that would always say essentially, Vanessa, how do you do it? What are you doing? What, and it was when I woke up that May while I was in corporate, going through this whole corporate job. But at that point, I had a horrible boss who was just I swear he was competing with me, but he was 3 levels above me. So it was just weird, but it was just a lot of things. And so while I was dealing with that, after I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, all that stuff, I then, when I woke up that morning, I was like, oh, wait. This is what people are asking me. They're asking me how do I get stuff done? How do I achieve things? How do I, still make things happen in my life while still keeping my head above water or above water or whatever. Keeping my head on straight. That makes sense. And so
was that the moment you realized that was your strength, being able to be productive with a bunch going on?
It's one of those things where I always knew I realized that it was the zone, the strength that it was a special strength, if that makes sense. Right. I realized that it was kind of like a superpower. Yeah. Versus it's I think a lot of people, maybe there might be people here where you may be in that stage where you're starting your business, you're just what do I do? Right. And then people are you're so good at XYZ. You're just oh, I didn't realize that was so special. You're, but it's everyone else is special, but to you, it's I don't know, I just do stuff. What do you mean? Yeah. And so, that was a moment when I realized it was a superpower. Now, one, it was a superpower, and then two, it was that was my superpower. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And so you created Your Vision Catalyst to help people figure out how to go forward, right, with their vision and how to do it without being overworked.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly. Yeah.
So why do you think I'm curious, why do you think so many people feel overworked? Are they really overworked, or is it just kind of a mindset?
I would say it is that it's both of those things actually. So yes, it is that they actually are overworked in the sense that, and I like to give this analogy where you have a lot of entrepreneurs where, they're running, they're sweating and they're dehydrated and they're whoo, I'm doing awesome. My legs hurt. My heart hurts. Oh my goodness. Oh, water, right? Yeah. But then you zoom out and they're still in the same place. They're literally, they were just jogging in place. They were just on the treadmill. They didn't move anywhere. They didn't take any step forward. They're just on the treadmill. They're running in place. They're jogging in place, essentially. So a lot of entrepreneurs where they're doing a lot of things, but it's not things that are moving them forward, right? So it's Go ahead. I call it, essentially trying to do the most, but you're not going anywhere. Yeah. Right? Doing the most hustle. And going nowhere. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Productive versus busy almost, right?
Yes, precisely. Okay. Productive versus busy. Exactly. Okay. Exactly. Yes.
So why do you think people think that they just need to be busy? Why do you think that's... I'm sure it's because we hear so much you got to hustle, you got to do everything, you need to be busy. Are we just programmed? Are we just hearing things wrong so much?
Yes, exactly. Essentially, you are hearing a lot of things wrong. A lot of there's a lot of misconceptions and myths out there, right? You have to burn the midnight oil, or and part of it essentially is not even rooted in entrepreneurship. There's part of that is, that is entrepreneurship based, but it's also part of it that's even rooted in before even entrepreneurship, in the corporate America space. You gotta work hard. It's all about how much you work. Keep on working, right? Or when you were in school, work. Hustle, literally, I think it's a lot of countries will look at Americans and be like, oh yeah, I work so hard. Because it's just also just a part of the society and part of the culture as well too. where it's just the idea that you just have to keep on grinding and hustling and making things happen, all the other jazz. And that's when you're going to make it, when you do a lot of work. The more work you put in, the more results you're going to get. And I'm sure that someone could probably think about, that your teammate, your team member, that person at your company who got promoted, but they haven't done any work. You're like, how did that person... But they didn't do anything, right? But and essentially it's just because it's not so much how hard you work, right? It's how you're doing what it is that you're doing. And that's what I help people do, is fix their hustle, essentially.
Yeah.
Yes.
I kind of look at it from the perspective, like you mentioned, a runner. You think of that and they're not moving anywhere. It's like a marathon. I don't know if you're a long distance runner or not, but like when I'm running long distance, it's like, if I try to run someone who does a lot better than me, their pace, I'm not going to be able to make it. Like they're going a lot faster than me, and that works for them because that's their pace, and they're able to succeed at that pace for the 26.2 miles. If I try to do that, I'd make it 5 miles, and so I've got to find my pace, and it comes from the training I put in. It's come from my muscles learning how to work at that pace, and so I have to run at that pace to finish that marathon. I think it's the same thing in business almost.
It kind of is, right? And part of it is what you kind of alluded to as well as another point on like just the work people are doing and how they are comparing themselves with other people, right? Because like, yes, maybe you don't start out the race at that pace, but maybe at mile 10, you end up getting that pace together. You make it to mile 26, right? But unfortunately, what's happening with a lot of people is that they'll, either they're comparing themselves with someone else, all sorts of stuff, right? And I say that, the biggest lesson or advice I would tell myself about to go backwards is essentially, don't take 7-figure advice for your 4-figure business, right? Like a lot of people are out here like, oh, this person's on these platforms, this person this. Meanwhile, this person that they're comparing themselves to has a team of 5 people who are doing all the work for them. And, and it's just like, and they have 7-figure business. So they have 7-figure money that they're using to do all that stuff. Meanwhile, you're sitting here like, well, I guess I have like 1,000 a month that I could do. Like, it's just 2 different worlds, 2 different worlds. You're literally in a different race. You're literally like, you're in a different race. That's really what it comes down to.
It's true. That's a good point. Cause comparing yourself to someone else's journey, it can be negative, and more than just like, oh, they're doing so much better than me. It could be like, well, hey, they're doing this, I need to do that. But if we implement their things too fast, it can actually end up hurting us.
Exactly.
So that's a great point. So how can solopreneurs starting out, bootstrapping it, what's the best way for them to go about growing successfully, be productive, not just busy, so they don't get overworked?
That's a great loaded question. Lots of things in that. But essentially, I would say number one, that's the reason why I actually encourage people to keep their day job while doing their business, because your day job is the capital. Like your day job is literally funding your business at the end of the day. And I mean, now let's say you have some health concerns with your day job. Maybe, okay, cool, fine, quit your day job, but get yourself something on the side or something like that, right? But at the end of the day, your day job is helping to fund your business, right? That is money that is just coming in, and you just put it towards the business, right? So that's number one. And then 2, right? And think of your day job as such, right? And then 2, I'd say there's a lot of habits and things that I end up having to work with my clients with to like switch and stuff. But I would say the number one habit, the first habit, number one toxic habit is don't stay late after work. And why do I say don't stay late after work? At the moment that you have decided to do your business, you already know, you may not have admitted it, you may not have accepted it fully, but you already know that this day job is not going to be your future. You already know that. Like you literally already know. You may not have committed to that yet mentally, but you know that. And also at the end of the day, if you are really serious about your business, then instead of staying an extra 2 hours every day at work, at your day job, take those 2 hours and put it toward your actual business. Yeah. Right? Instead of sleeping at 2 a.m., you can sleep at 11 p.m., right? Like a normal person. And essentially, and the thing is that, the principle of what I end up working with my clients on as well too, is that, it's how you're doing it, right? It's how you're doing what it is that you're doing. And the same principle applies even for your day job, right? And I think about it in terms of, if you do the analogy of people in their corporate job, how much time did you actually spend doing work versus like, chit-chatting with somebody on the Teams or staying out in the kitchen or going out for that walk. And like, think about how much time you actually spent doing work, right? and
Yeah.
your business is like the same, treat your business the same. Well, don't treat your business like that, but essentially the same efficiency rules apply there too, where it's
Yeah.
think about what it is that you're actually doing in the time that you actually have available, right?
Yep.
There's a difference between someone who's, just scrolling on Facebook, like, oh, I'm just going to check out the feed, see what's happening, versus the person who's saying, I'm gonna go in these 5 groups. Oh, look, I'm gonna message this person. Oh, I remember this person is a promising lead. Let me connect with them. Let me comment. Let me like their stuff. Same platform, 2 different ways of being.
How you're using it. Yep, exactly. I think that's a big point. And it's funny you mentioned like in a corporate job when you're working and you're using so much time there, but a lot of it's spent on things that isn't necessarily work, like you're chatting, water cooler talk. And I read an article one time that in Germany or somewhere in a company, they worked less hours than we do in America. But the reason is because when they go into work, they work. There's no chit chat. There's nothing extra. There's literally, it's just go get your job done and go home. And so like they come to America and they go to businesses here and see how people are working, and people are coming up talking and like chit chatting. They're like, what are you doing? Like, we want to go home. Like, we don't want to be here any longer. Like, let me do my stuff, get done in 4 hours and be done with it. I'm like, that's brilliant. Why? Yes.
It is indeed. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It goes to that, like, we just think we need to be there 8 or 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day to do our job, when we could really condense it down if we're just being diligent and use our time wisely and get stuff done. And I think almost the same thing could be for building a business. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a lot of work, but if you are use your time wisely and you use your time correctly, I think you get a lot more done in less time.
You do. And I remember my day job, I literally committed to, I was like, I'm going to be on a 4:30 p.m. shuttle out the door. Because it was pre-COVID. So I was still, when I was in the office, I was like, I'm being a 4:30 p.m. shuttle out the door. Like, I'm going to be on that shuttle. The shuttle waits for no one. So it's 4:30 p.m. or not a minute later. So I'm in a 4:30 p.m. shuttle, and my laptop will stay at the office. My laptop stayed at the office, and I was on a 4:30 p.m. shuttle on home. And then I used my personal laptop for my actual business once I got home at 6 p.m. But essentially, it was, finding those times and breaking those out and just ensuring that, when you commit to something, you dedicate to it. When you commit to that time, use it wisely, right? Yeah. And I know one of my clients, for example, I told her, like, okay, 5 p.m. you're gonna close the laptop, because now she works from home. She was like, 5 p.m. you're gonna close the laptop. And she's like, but Vanessa, I get so busy. 5 p.m. close the laptop. All right. And I was like, just entertain me. Entertain your business coach. Entertain me tomorrow. Just close your laptop at 5 p.m. Right. And then essentially at the end of the week, we reconnected, and she was like, oh my God, it felt so empowering. Like, I just, because essentially she tried to get all the work done by 5 p.m. Right. Yeah. When you actually commit to ending at 5 p.m., you end at 5 p.m. or whatever the shift may be that you're doing. Right. Yeah. And at the end of the day, with those constraints, you actually end up freeing yourself and freeing your mind too, to just work more efficiently and to just commit to actually getting the stuff done when you say you want to get it done.
Yeah, that's I like that. And just basically almost bucketing your time for certain things and then getting to it. Like,
yes,
it blows my mind. And that's why I didn't want to end up in a 9 to 5 that was like, you work and then you're still on call when you get home and you need to answer. Like,
yeah.
Like I feel like we believe that we always have to be available for 9 to 5, like that rules our life. And it's not what I couldn't end up that way,
Yeah. And the thing is, a lot of people are in that, right? And they honestly feel like, I remember, so when I quit my job, I'm thinking about my coworkers, right? On the last team that I had, it was just like, yeah. And it was one of those things where it was sad to watch. It was kind of sad to watch, actually. I must say, it's very sad to watch when you realize that, there is another way. And there are people with wonderful skills and talents who can live their life in a different way. And people who are instead, they're like sending you 11 p.m. emails. And you're like, why are you sending me email 11 p.m.? Like, go to sleep. Like, what? Like, the email can wait for 9 a.m. Like, we're not dealing with like North Korea here. Like, you literally, you can shut this email down at 11 p.m. at the end of the day. Yeah. And unfortunately, so many people are bogged on. And the same thing even happens with entrepreneurship and business, right? And that's why people end up being overworked. And it's like, you don't have to, like, you respond to this email at 10 p.m. versus 8 a.m. Like, it's not that big of a difference, right? It's like literally like you can wait till 8 a.m. like, to answer the email or whatever it may be. Yeah, and so it's just,
That's a big thing I had to learn on my journey. Was I thought I had to reply instantly to everything, every
Mm-hmm.
message,
Mm-hmm.
every email, and it's just overwhelming. And so you get to a point where you have to realize, like, okay, this time is when I'm going to reply to things, and it's not, your business is not going to crumble if you only answer messages in this 2-hour window each day.
Yeah.
Like, if you are, it's actually probably going to help you because you're going to be so focused on those messages then, because that's all it is. And then the rest of your time can be focused on different activities fully, instead of messaging over here, but working here and
Mm-hmm.
replying here, And so, yeah, it was a huge thing I had to learn.
Yeah, and now we're going to get into essentially the mindset of it, right? I think the question you
Yeah.
asked earlier in the show was
Hmm.
like, is it that people are actually overworked, or is that it's just a mindset thing, right? So this is the part where, yes, they are actually overworked because they're doing a lot that they don't need to do, but also too, right, there is a mindset behind why is it that you're doing all that stuff that you think you need to do, right?
Yeah.
And it's because of the pressure, because a lot of entrepreneurs are ambitious people, right? We're
Yeah.
ambitious people, and so it's like, no, I gotta like drive and make it happen, hit these goals, and and like if I don't do it, if I eat, but don't answer the email before I go to sleep. The OMG, I'm a failure at entrepreneurship. Like, oh, right. And it's like, no, like you can wait
Yep.
till 8 a.m. Right. And chances are that person is probably not looking at their email at 10 p.m. And if they are, they're probably not going to respond. They're probably like, oh, this person's crazy. Why they send me an email at 10 p.m.?
Yeah.
Right. That's literally
Yeah.
their thought process at the end of the day, really, when you think about it. So,
Yeah.
yes.
I think it's true. And it's almost like we're seeking validation still
Mm.
from other people because we don't want to necessarily let them down. I don't know. What do you think with that mindset of I need to answer everything right now? Like, where does that, is that like looking for validation, you think, or where do you think it comes from?
Is looking for validation, but within the self. It's sort
Mm,
of a looking for not from other people necessarily, but looking for
okay.
validation from yourself. And because essentially it's at the end of the day, it's wanting to say that you did it, right? Because part of that whole, hustle and work until 2 a.m. and all that stuff is really just about because you think other people are doing that and because you think they're being successful in doing that, and you're like, okay, it's my badge of honor. It's my badge of honor of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship if I do this, right? And
Yeah.
so then a lot of people end up getting into that whole like, it's my badge of honor. See, look, I'm working this hard and I'm doing it, right? And honestly, at the end of the day, there are other people who are just looking at you like, that's not inspiring. Like that's literally not motivating. It's like, wait, no, thank you. Right? And it's also just not necessary to at the end of the day. It's really just not necessary. But a lot of people do it, unfortunately. And then what happens? They get burned out. They get overworked. Or they decide to not do entrepreneurship. Or they just switch businesses. They're like, oh, this business, it's just not working for me. But I tried my best. And it's like, no, you didn't. You did the most what you didn't need to do. You jogged in place, right? At best, you jogged in place. That's what you did, right? And then they go to another business. They do the same thing. And then they're like, it's a business. The business is the wrong business idea. Next business. And it's just like this whole cycle.
Process,
and then, it's this whole cycle. And it's unfortunate. It really is unfortunate because I believe everyone should be an entrepreneur. Everyone can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Everyone can make things happen in their lives and their business. And so, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it's like I just recently even kind of bucketed my time now. So had some more things come on. So I was like, okay, now I'm getting all over the place. I'm getting, for me, it turned to like, okay, anxiety
and
and a
it's
little bit
great
of
that you
overwhelm.
noticed that too. Great that you noticed that.
And I was like, I've got to figure this out because I'm all over the place. My productivity is going down. Like I'm just overwhelmed now because I'm not being productive like I used to be. So what's wrong? I was like, okay. And so what I did, I took my calendar, and every day is bucketed for a couple main tasks on that day. And that's all I do for that day. And so, which since starting has really lowered that anxiety. I've been more productive than I had been before because it's just that I'm focusing on, and I seem to get it done a lot faster than I was before too. And I'm like, okay, sweet. This is perfect. And so, yeah, just tweaking that and just really being aware of my time and what I'm putting it towards, and then scheduling that, for me at least, has really, I think, opened up to another level almost.
Yeah. And for me, I know that when I get into like, that happens to me maybe like once, twice a year, where I'll get into the moments where I get to them like, I'm working on a lot of stuff here. Right. And so what I do is and also what I show my clients to do is I literally have like an actual paper journal, and I just like map out 7 columns. And I'm like, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And then essentially it's pretty much just my way of showing myself like, okay, yes, I have these things on my item list. I can get them all done, or I can't, and I need to move something off the list. And, you know, I'll follow that schedule for like maybe like a week. But essentially, really, it's just a peace of mind, right? It's just really just a peace of mind of understanding, you know, I have these things, I commit to that, and I can make the commitment happen, right? Or something got to go. And so we just got to accept it, and like, it has to go at the end of the day.
But it's just like Warren Buffett says, write down like 25 of top 25 goals you ever want to do, pick the top 5 and throw the
I think I read that article.
Or something. Yeah, something like that. But, and it goes back, just our days, like, it's so much, I think, simpler when you have things bucketed like that, because you look at the day and you're like, okay, this is what I'm working on today. This is it. I don't have to wonder I have all this stuff to do. What should I work on? Which will be better today? It's like, you've already picked, you've already created that, and you can always tweak it a little bit. Like, oh, this day's not so good for all this calls. I need to switch it to this day and do what I was doing on that day, this day. And so it's a learning process, but you've got to dictate your time or it'll run away. You'll lose it.
And it's very important. Yeah, it's very important for the person from 9 to 5 as well too, right? Because you don't you literally 24 hours in a day. Let's say you go to sleep. So you got let's say you say 6 hours. For me, I'll sleep 7 hours of sleep a night. That's what I get. While doing my business, doing my day job and all that stuff. But let's just say 6, minimum. Let's say 6. Okay, you got 18 hours left in your day. Then you got your day job. Okay, you got 10 hours. Let's say you're not commuting. You're just working from home. You just open a laptop and you close the laptop. Okay, cool. So you got 10 hours left. Oh, wait, you got kids too? Oh, okay, cool. So now you got to make them food. You got virtual homeschooling, interruptions, all that jazz. Okay, great. Oh, you got to get them ready for bed. All right, cool. So let's say you got 5-6 hours left in the day. Oh, wait, you have a spouse. Maybe you care about them. So maybe you want to hang out with them for an hour. Okay, cool. So I got 5 hours in a day. Great. You have 5 hours left in your day for your business. Oh, wait, then you also got to take care of yourself too and eat and stuff. But let's just say you have 5 hours in a day, right? Okay, great. So now you got 5 hours in a day. What are you going to do in those 5 hours, right? Yeah. The thing is, I always say to people, and because a lot of people also, there are times when people, they have their day job and they're doing their business. And there are times where they'll say, this actually happened to me too, where I said, man, if I just didn't have a day job, I'd have so much more time for my business. I just had so much more time for my business if I didn't have my day job, right? And even with my productivity, expertise, and mastery, I was like, I just have so much more time for the business. And really, I just hated the boss. I was just like, man, I just have so much more energy for the business. But with that being said, it was I had so much more time for the business. And a lot of people, though, for them, it's in their minds, though, that time equates to more success when it really doesn't. Because if you're still jogging in place, having more time to jog in place keeps you jogging in place. It doesn't get you closer to the finish line of the marathon if you're just still jogging in place. You're right. And so at the end of the day, it's more so, it's not so much, having more time. It's what you're doing in that time that you do have, right? Someone can grow a business with 5 hours a week. Someone can grow a business with 40 hours a week. Literally, I have people who are full-time entrepreneurs, right? While I was doing my business with my day job, and I was doing my own thing, and they would come to me and be like, Vanessa, it just seems like you have 26 hours in a day. What are you doing? People who literally have people without kids, people who just doing their business on their own with just themselves came to me and asked me that question, right? Because it's not so much, that you have less time or more time. It's what you're doing with that time.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, what do you think? Maybe you're maybe it's top 3 ways people can utilize their time better. The time they do have, what should they be focusing on? Maybe the top 3 things.
Yes. I want to focus on marketing for this. I want to focus on marketing for this because marketing and sales are 2 key important parts of business. And so I want to focus on essentially some efficient marketing strategies that people can use. Right. Cool. And so number 1, right, that whole concept or not concept, but misperception that, you need 5 hours to your marketing. No. Okay. Less than 20 minutes. Each day, you can do something related to your marketing in less than 20 minutes, right? You can post something online to help work towards building your brand in less than 20 minutes. Literally, you just decide on which type of post you're going to do. Whether it's an information post, I call it the value post, information education. It's a promotional post that's related to your actual paid product, or it's the, I call it a life post, right? Something related to your family or something that you like, something that you don't like, whatever it may be, right? So of those 3 posts, which one are you going to do for that day? That's 2 minutes to make a decision. That's it. It's not that complicated. You make that decision, it's 2 minutes, literally, right? This is not, but then what about, no, 2 minutes, right? And then from there, you actually create the post, right? That's less than 15 minutes, maximum 15 minutes to create that post. So that means you are what is a post, right? A post is some words, and it's either a picture or a video.
Yeah.
That's it. It's not like, it is not so complicated. Like, it is a words or it's a picture or a video. If you want to get real complicated, okay, fine. Maybe it's like hashtags on Instagram. Like, literally just go on someone else's post, copy paste their hashtags, put on your post. Like, literally, like, it's not that complicated, people, right? Or just put like, what is it that your post is about? Those are your hashtags, right? So create your post. It's words, and then it's like a photo or a video, right? And that works for YouTube. That works for Facebook. That works for LinkedIn. That works for Instagram. That works for, like, it works for so many different platforms. It's words, and it's either a picture or a video, right? That takes you maximum 15 minutes. And then you spend 1 minute, you actually post a post. It takes you 1 minute to post a post. That's it, right? You copy paste the words you just came up with, you upload the video, upload the photo, bam, boom, post, all done, right? Less than 20 minutes each day that you can put something out there in the market that further builds your brand and further builds that trust with the people you want to build your trust with, right? There you go, right? One. Then you got the people who say, but Vanessa, like, but for YouTube, I gotta do this thing. For LinkedIn, I gotta do this other thing. Facebook, I gotta do this other thing. Okay, there are two things there. One, first of all, you only really need one social media platform. As a solopreneur, you only need one social media platform as a solopreneur, right? Number two is called repurposing your content. Repurposing your content, right? I remember when I was like, I essentially, when COVID started, I decided to go digital. I had to go digital, I guess. And then when I say I went digital, essentially, I like started my Facebook business page after COVID. And I was in business prior to that, but I started my Facebook business page after COVID when the COVID pandemic, hit the floor. And I was in California at the time. And I started my Facebook business page. And I was like, okay, I'm going to commit to 365 days of going live every single day. At the time that we're live in this right now, I'm on episodes like 349 episodes. But essentially, it was like, okay, whatever I do for that live, I'm just gonna take that description, put it on Instagram, and then I'm either gonna put a snip of the video, or I'm just gonna like take 5 words, put it on a Canva thing at the background, and bam, post, right? Then LinkedIn, it was just like, here's a link to the video, here are the words description, boom. Literally, that's it. It literally took, at the beginning, it took me 30 minutes because I was new to it. But then it took me like 5 minutes, right? And the thing is, at the end of the day, it's, so if you want to do that, if you still don't know which social media platform to do, there's that. But really, at the end of the day, you should be choosing one social media platform, one platform, literally one platform, right? And how do you choose that one platform? Great question. And it's a synergy between your audience, like where's your audience hanging out? And how do you like to communicate with people, right? Where's your audience hanging out? How do you like to communicate with people? If you don't like videos, then don't do YouTube. YouTube is literally just all videos. You can put some words in the description, but really it's just all videos. If you don't like videos, don't do YouTube, right? If you are like someone who, let's say you're reaching out to senior citizens in nursing homes, right? Like, you may not want to be on TikTok. TikTok may not be the platform that you want to go on. No, I don't think so. But, but you might try to find maybe some other ways or methods to reach them, right? So essentially it's like, where do people hang out and how do you like to communicate, and put that together, right? Sure. And then I know, like, for example, clothing boutiques, Instagram is really popular for them, right? Coaches and consultants, Facebook is popular. Depending on your niche, you might also try LinkedIn, right? Depending on your niche, Instagram may also be a route too, right? But it's like, what is the one social media platform that you're going to focus on, commit on, right? And chances are that if you have, maybe you're listening to this right now and you're watching this right now, you're like, I have 3 platforms, Vanessa. Listen. There's one of them that's most effective than the other 2. And I remember for me, it ended up being Facebook. So I was like, well, looks like I stopped reposting the Instagram and LinkedIn. Honestly, I did it less sparingly. I was like, well, let me just put my attention towards Facebook. And occasionally I'll post on LinkedIn and Instagram, right? And that's what it came down to. And then Facebook became my main platform, and I have a community of over 1,000 people. And it's great. It's amazing. But one platform, choose that platform. That's going to be your post of the post, right? And then some other things that people, may be thinking about. Seems to be a trend as well too. I've seen a lot of people who come into my group recently versus like earlier in the group, where they're just like they're like, oh, I tried a bunch of ads and it like didn't work and da 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 da. It seems to be like a thing now. Everyone's trying to Facebook ads. Okay, cool. Here's the thing, people. And I do Facebook ads too, right? I'm also doing organic outreach, and I'm not someone who's going to literally, I believe every marketing strategy works. Every marketing strategy works. Otherwise, it would not exist. It would be another MySpace. It would not exist. It just would not exist. If it didn't work, it wouldn't exist. And so every marketing strategy works, but essentially there's only one marketing strategy. that works for you and your business, right? And your life, and essentially, right? And if you're not someone like, if you are like, oh, I need to be on this platform tweeting every hour, and you don't have the patience or time to tweet every hour, then don't be on Twitter. Like, that's not the platform for you. That's it. Right. And so every marketing platform works, and there's only one that works for really you and your business and your life. And so, you know, I had this whole thing where for people, let's say you're deciding between free marketing versus paid marketing, literally the key question there, do you have play money? Right. A lot of people are like, you know, like, see Chris Laskus, you know what I'm talking about, right? Do you have play money? Because when it comes down to it, like, paid marketing is not going to work day one. It is a testing, right? And it's all about testing it. It's all about, you know, the patience as well too with testing, patience as well as funds when it comes to testing. And so you have to be ready to waste money. Like, you literally have to be ready to waste money if you're going into advertise, paid ad. And this is Facebook ads, Google ads, Instagram ads, YouTube ads. Like, you have to be ready to waste money. That's what it comes down to, right? And so if you don't have play money, if you're sitting there, you're like, man, this $1,000 needs to work like today. Otherwise, I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, you need to stick with free marketing. You need to stick with free marketing. Like, I need you to go back to your friends, text them. Like, you need to stick with free marketing. Like, paid marketing is not for you at the end of the day. You need to save your money, invest in a coach, right? Invest in a mentor, invest in a course, but do not invest in paid advertising if that is the state that you're in. And so that's really the quick, easy way to decide whether or not you should be moving forward. There's a lot of tips there, but
no, that's awesome. A lot of good stuff there. Because I mean, that can be a reason people get overworked or feel overwhelmed with everything, trying to do all the marketing. So, and I think that's a good, especially when people are starting out, solopreneurs, growing with a day job, being able to have those actionable marketing tips will really cut down on a lot of that. And so, great information, Vanessa, on just becoming less overworked and really just being productive versus busy. So, yeah. And then with the marketing, just how to use your time wisely in a short amount of time. It's doable. So yeah, I thank you so much for sharing all of that. So much people can take away. So I hope they're taking notes. If you're listening, I hope you're jotting stuff down and not go back, listen to this again and start taking some actionable tips right now. But Vanessa, before we kind of wrap up, I do ask one question of my guests, and it has to do with the fifth trait of pencil leadership, which is we're all created uniquely and with a purpose to leave a positive mark on the world. And so for you, when everything is said and done here on earth for you, what do you hope your positive mark is?
Great question. I've been thinking about that since I was 8 years old. And essentially, and that's how I'll answer the question, but essentially when I was 8 years old, I, you know, had this vision of my mind. And it was like, I was thinking to myself, like, how do my funerals look like? And so I remember just thinking about people at my funeral and like me just looking down at them, like, what's he doing? And essentially, I remember just thinking about some stranger who wasn't really in my immediate sphere, who would come up to someone who is in my immediate sphere, so like a close friend, and be like, oh, how do you know Vanessa? Oh, I'm like her best friend. Oh, how do you know Vanessa? Oh, well, she just like, her XYZ like just really helped me out, and it's been so great and amazing, right? And so I remember thinking that when I was 8 years old. And fast forward, you know, to, you know, now I'm thinking about, and I'm in entrepreneurship, and I see that, you know, coming more to fruition. But how I want to leave the marketing world is essentially a $10 billion empire with community centers around the country that are improving people's financial education, improving their way of life, getting them access to resources and information that they need so they become better versions of themselves and continue to inspire their family around them, right? Because it's the self that inspires the people around you, and it can lead to just a much more positive and happier way of being and a way of life. And so that is the mark I want to leave in the world.
Awesome. Yes. I love that. Big mark, which is an amazing thing to have. Aim for the stars. And so that's really cool to be able to, that's your goal, to be able to have and give information for people to better themselves. So amazing. So where can people find you? Where can they find out more about your vision, catalyst, and connect with you on social media?
Yes. So essentially, my main platform is on Facebook, but I'm also on LinkedIn. If you search for Vanessa Zamy, you'll find me. You're also welcome to, I have a best-selling ebook as well, so you're welcome to check that out on Amazon called Finish, the Solopreneurs Guide to Getting Stuff Done. And for those who are interested, just follow me on Facebook, or if you want more information about, I have a business accelerator where I coach clients one-on-one on their business and on strategies to keep them moving forward and efficiently and effectively. And so you're welcome to reach out to me and find me on Facebook. Just send me a DM. I am there. So, yeah.
Cool. Well, yeah, everybody get connected with her, continue to learn how to stop being overworked and get more done. So Vanessa, again, thank you for being on Pencil Leadership.
Thank you for having me, Chris.
No problem.